Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Day After podcast and our sub-show Too Many Kubricks, where we watch and review every Stanley Kubrick film in chronological order, for better or worse. I'm here with Michael.
Hi.
And the big reason you've been watching Carpet the last 9 weeks is that here on episode 10 we are discussing possibly one of his most famous works. Do I mean Stanley or Stephen? It could be either. This is 1980's The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Now, before we begin, I have to talk about something interesting we had the opportunity to do. This movie ranks very, very highly on a list of movies susceptible to conspiracy theories. So many so that in 2012 there was a documentary released entitled Room 237, all about people's different interpretations and conspiracy theories regarding this movie. Everything from the genocide of Native Americans to the faking of the Apollo moon landing. However, somebody has recommended something so bullshit that we decided we're going to do it as well. So what we did is on the main screen we watched The Shining, and on the side screen we have what's called I'll call the mirror movie. What it is somebody has said, dude, if you take the movie, flip it backwards and put it half transparency on yourself, so you're watching the movie forwards and backwards on the same screen. It's like that shit where you watch The Wizard of Oz while listening to Pink Floyd. And we both came to the agreement pretty damn quick that that's absolute bullshit.
Bullshit. It's filled with really interesting coincidences, but other than that...
Now, guys, because of how this thing works, I don't know if you've heard of it, called foreshadowing, they can talk about things at the beginning of the movie that take place later in the movie.
And also, it's just like pure script act structure.
Yeah.
It leads to coincidences. Look, the stuff that foreshadows at the beginning overlaps with the stuff that's in the climax.
The only real thing of interest, which is it's a very easy putt for this, is that while he is describing what he wants out of the job and he's describing what happened to Delbert Grady, you do get to watch Jack Torrance basically look at him try to murder his family in the hedge maze. That's the only thing I'll give it.
But exposition is mirrored by climax. But it's cute.
It's fine. If somebody has a bullshit way of watching something, we'll try it. If it wasn't that, it's easy. You can find it online, but mostly that's whatever. This is one of those movies I don't have anything to talk about. It has been done to death.
No,
please go ahead.
You were saying in the intro that you said possibly Kubrick's most famous movie. I think it's the most famous.
I wanted to give him all the benefit of the doubt I could, but it's probably his most famous movie. It's the right combination of iconic, but also accessibility.
Yeah, and pop culture and just... pop culture has adopted this movie more than any of the other ones
ever will.
And because of that, I think it's so difficult to watch this movie afresh.
There's so many what I call Family Guy moments where retroactive references where you're like, oh, that's what Family Guy was making fun of.
Yeah. Yes.
But I mean, there's so many fun pop culture facts that I could just intersperse this with details. For instance, the reason that Sid Phillips from Toy Story, the reason his carpet in his house is the shining carpet is because Lee Unkrich, the guy who would eventually direct Coco and Toy Story 3, cut his teeth on Toy Story. And Lee Unkrich is a phenomenal fan of this movie to the point where he runs the largest fan website for this movie.
Really?
And he actually, when Shelley Duvall was exploited on the Dr. Phil show for her mental illness, he drove to Texas trying to find Shelley for an interview.
Okay, big hyper fans.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just I run a website. No,
it was insane. No, but that
I will take a flight across continents to save little children.
That's a whole other thing. Here I am spinning my meals very, very early. I like this because big room spooky. You have to talk about things that are interesting to you. My wife had not seen this start to finish, probably about 3 years ago, so we watched it, and they were throwing out, she didn't know what the gag was, or the horror, and so when they were getting the tour, they're like, yeah, this was built at a Native American burial ground. And my wife legit looks at me and goes, if it's fucking Indian burial grounds, I swear to God, I'm like, babe, you're going to be fine.
Well, what are you going to do? It's Stephen King.
It resists explanation, which, I mean, fun fact number 2, there was an additional scene at the very end that got cut by Kubrick or whomever, that because it gave away too much answer. Because in the scene, Danny and Shelley are talking to the cops back at their apartment, and they realize that, like, the cops go, we looked up there for a body, we didn't find a body. It gave too much information to the situation, too much ambiguity. They wanted it to be more open-ended.
Good call. I'm glad that they took that out.
Yeah.
The thing that strikes me as so powerful about this movie, and not so much the horror, but how much this is an intense story about spousal abuse. I feel so uncomfortable being in a room with these two. Yeah. And for me, the thing that drags me in the most is the drama between the two leads.
The pretty much overt but undertoned like manipulativeness of Jack Torrance.
Yes, it starts from the very beginning, just like his passive aggressive smirks at her.
See, he saw it in a movie. Shut the fuck up is what his eyebrows are saying.
Yes. Like, you know that throughout that entire car ride up to the hotel, she was going, oh, look how pretty this is.
Yeah.
Yes, Wendy, it's very pretty.
Even the way that he eats his bacon by dipping them in the sunny side of the eggs, going, yeah, it's just swell. I knew you'd like it. Like talking to the John F. Kennedy lookalike Stacey Ullman, who runs the place, is like, yeah, she's a fucking horror enthusiast. Shit. Everything he says is drenched in disdain.
I forgot how good the performances are. And yes, some people would say, like, I've heard the criticism that their performances are exaggerated. I don't give a shit. I think that Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson's performance in this movie are fantastic.
Yes.
And in such polar opposite directions of exaggeration.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot how psychologically realistic you see the journey of Jack's development, not just of madness, but of self-justifying his annoyance with his wife. Mm-hmm. And where he gets to the point where, don't you ever just think about me and my problems? And this is your fucking fault. You've ruined my life. And it's bullshit, but millions of men do that.
That's what makes this sense of abuse and justification and abuser language, like, you made me hate you, it's so effective. And I've said this a million times. It's become the new version of I hate lore in games. Is I think that what humans do to each other is more horrifying than any ghost could be, any moldy woman.
Yeah, and the scene that got me the most is the scene where she is backing up the steps with the bat.
Clear
and that is just, oh, it's so emotionally intense. It feels so real. You know, women have been like that and they don't know what to do. And those moments where the Wendy character is just, she's just paralyzed with fear and confusion in a corner with the knife and just going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Women that feel trapped. And in that case, they are not even they're literally trapped up there for 5 to 6 months.
Yes.
Even that itself is a Herculean undertaking. God damn it. Fun fact number 3. Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson, shockingly, expressed retroactive regret for being in this movie. Part of it was because of that a lot of the praise for this movie was on Stanley Kubrick's direction, and almost none of it on the strength of the acting talent of Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson especially was upset on behalf of Shelley Duvall, whom he has been quoted as saying, that is the most work I'd ever seen an actor get put through.
It's fantastic. Again, they're exaggerations, but exaggerations in different side of the spectrum. Jack is filled with all these quips and mannerisms and little hiccups in and Shelley is so folksy and just overly polite.
Yeah, that was so cute at the beginning of the movie. You're like, oh God, is she folksy as fuck?
I found myself going, if I was stuck in this hotel with Shelley Duvall for 5 months, I would get annoyed with her.
Oh.
With her folksiness. Okay. Like I think this hotel is just so great and grand and how you doing? And it's not I'm not a good person for it, but I could see myself getting annoyed by her constant chipperness.
Again, we don't have a lot to say, so a lot of places that somebody will tackle a review of this film would be to compare and contrast it with Stephen King's novel that he wrote. Now, Stephen King famously didn't like this, but it's people don't go into why he didn't like it very much. Now, and it comes across as something.
I get why I get his point.
Stanley, I didn't until I read this while I was in the bathroom during our break. But Stephen King, Jack Torrance, there. He is quoted as it's a story about the disintegration of the family and the dangers of alcoholism.
Yeah.
And that Jack Torrance is an author avatar for bad shit he did in his life, and he's trying to focus on that. One criticism that Stanley does get for this movie is that there's no progression of Jack Torrance. He's already halfway to crazy by the time you meet him.
Yeah, and also that this is just a criticism in terms of it as an adaptation. It's that there is no scene of redemption. There's no scene where Jack's love for his son is there's a moment in the novel where Jack resists the temptation and saves Danny's life for a moment. But we never see that in the movie. Once he gets rolling, he never stops until he freezes to death.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a train that continues.
So like even that moment where Jack calls Danny over and hugs him and starts petting his head, it doesn't come across as authentic.
Yeah,
it feels menacing.
Honestly, this is gonna sound terrible. I promise I'm going somewhere. One of my first experiences with Jack Nicholson is in that whatever Adam Sandler movie, Anger Management. And I couldn't understand. I'm like, do we like Jack Nicholson in this movie? What are his intentions? And that pissed me off as a kid. As an adult, I think it really works to his strength. That really borderline charismatic, quippy, sardonic attitude. Not quippy, I take that back, because that implies I'm going for a joke. But he does that, those mannerisms that make you think he's not quite taking you seriously. And that is extremely to the benefit of the character.
And this he's very good at acting, giving moments of a character, acting unpredictably, but not
random.
Not random.
Not with explosions.
He feels like he's building up tension, and you think he's going to snap, but he doesn't have to. And throughout much of the suspense of this movie is half of it is scares and spookies. The other half is looking at Jack and going, "Are you gonna hit me? Are you gonna? Please don't hit me." And just the way he stares at people. Again, really good performance.
This is almost certainly the two most famous Kubrick stares in all of cinema. One of them is Jack Torrance in this movie. The other one is Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange. Those are the two that come up. Yes. I have a way I would like to go, because this is going to be kind of off the rails. Everything's been talked about before. I went into
the house, the general setting in the house.
The house.
This is the reason why you love big spaces.
It is. It's a huge. I love the big empty hotel and the idea of isolation. That's a great idea. That is why, when we turned this on, it was my favorite Kubrick film, and its cracks are showing. I understand that you can enjoy Kubrick, but a lot of the slow pans as they're getting ready to move, while they walk in real time with the nurse into the living room to discuss things, and the setup to the thing, or they're all very pedantic and very kind of dull, actually. and I just don't. I don't know. Maybe that's not what people focus on because every movie is going to have faults, but that gets kind of sidelined as they get set up. It's just so almost like monotone. And another thing, I'm sorry, I keep thinking about Woody Allen when we're doing this, but there are shots that I have heard people say this is deliberately spatially doesn't make sense to make you on edge. Like, no, Stanley is such a fucking perfectionist. This is inexcusable. And there's it's little tiny nitpicky shit. Like
because of his reputation.
The ball rolls on the wrong side of the carpet towards the kid, and then when it cuts, it's in a different place. That's a clear error. I'm all for saying a guy is a very good filmmaker, but don't make concessions where they don't belong.
The part of the movie for me that shows the biggest crack, and it was even the first time I saw it, and this is I think the fourth time I've seen this movie, and every time I watch it and I think the cook,
Scatman Crothers, Dick Halloran,
he has some charming moments, but I think that he slows down the movie so much, he breaks its pacing. And at the end of the day, he's only there to get the snow cat to the.
Well, okay. Speak of the devil, because sorry, Dick. That is, I feel very similarly to another adaptation of a Stephen King work called Misery, and that is fantastic when you're focusing on the author and the hyperfan who breaks his ankles. But when you go to this old married couple dicking around in the snow trying to look for the author because he disappeared, that is boring and stupid. And I love Dick, but he is a plot device, and they waste a ton of time on Dick Halloran. To the point where, if you look at, there's a Robot Chicken sketch called, here, we gave you 3-second snippets of very long movies, so you don't have to. And when they cut to The Shining, it's just Scatman going,
and you could easily take him out and edit the plot holes that he would leave away. Yeah. And the movie would, in my opinion, would be better.
Okay.
Well, it's easy to talk about stuff that I love about The Shining.
I can do that forever, whatever. To the point where I'm about to wrap up, unless you have something really big, you have like a thorn in your craw that you have to discuss. Because for me, you're right. It is the most enthusiastic, pop culture ingrained thing. To the point where we talked about this. Fun fact about Kubrick number 4. When he's chopping down the door, Jack Nicholson famously improvises the line, "Here's Johnny," based on the appearance of Johnny Carson in, late night television. Stanley Kubrick has been in Europe for a very long time, since before Johnny Carson started his career. And Stanley was like, "I don't get it." And like, well, you see, sir, we have a late night talk show here. His name's Johnny Carson. That's how he opens it. Oh, that's funny. Keep it in. But it gets worse because now he said that, and now people like The Simpsons and Family Guy and every person you can think of is making references to The Shining, which is itself a reference. It's becoming a nesting doll of references, and the Johnny Carson part of it, that nugget, has been lost.
Yeah, it's postmodernism eating itself and losing its own.
It's really an Ouroboros of pop culture.
And only older audiences get the actual reference. God, culture is weird.
It's very, very similar to, Dad, when the fuck is Happy Days about? Well, son, it was a show made in the 70s, but about the 50s. Why? Because they're the same to me, but my dad was 4 years old when the 70s started. In general, how do you feel?
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Well, of course, even a bad Kubrick film.
I really enjoyed it. I think this is. I enjoyed this movie more than I have before because I was looking for something else. I was paying more attention, as you could probably tell from my commentary, from the drama between Jack and Wendy.
That is what I think should get more attention. I know it's a spooky movie and it's the Kubrick horror movie, but yeah, the interplay between Shelley and Jack should get more attention.
I think there's much more. There's more richness that hasn't yet been exhausted in this movie. That's in the marital drama.
Yeah.
than the horror, which is that's been exhausting.
Definitely, they nailed some people. They really nailed their two actors down. Danny Lloyd as a kid actors suck anyway. But Scatman Crothers, for what he's in, he did a good job. I do have to regretfully inform you that The Shining that it's been demoted to my second favorite Kubrick movie.
No!
Oh no! Grab the hat for Clockwork Orange. It's king now. Okay, but even mediocre Kubrick films are very good, guys. That has been our episode 11. We are getting close to the end of Too Many Kubricks, where we watch and discuss every Kubrick film in chronological order. We're gonna keep the carpet because in 1 week. We're going to get over a 7-year break where Stanley Kubrick would make his penultimate film, 1987's Full Metal Jacket.
Ooh, I haven't seen that in a long time.
You certainly haven't seen the second half of it. You have heard a lot of things that were going to happen to these people that I'm going to scream out loud, and then it will get quoted because they're funny. But with the context, it's not as funny.